we straight chillin', serial killing, pre-cold villains on the mic, got you reeling. 5-star rated from the floor to the ceiling. If you catch a 1-star, no time for feelings. Got a team and DJ on the ones and twos. By the name else above, so don't get confused. So grab a seat by the fire, roast them all over two, and prepare to hear the legend of the straight chillin' crew.
What up, nerds? And welcome to another holly jolly episode of Straight Chilling, the weekly horror movie review show where you chill and we kill, slice, dice, and chop up yet another horror movie. My name is Bob. I'll be your host for the evening. This is episode 507, recorded Sunday, December 15th, 2024. Tonight we're talking about Terrifier 3. Before we get into it, let me introduce the fellas. First up, calling in from somewhere in Florida, I think. I'm not sure where you are, Randy, right now, actually. But Randy,
Not in Florida.
where you at? Where you at, dog?
I'm in
Your
DC.
exact address. Oh, I thought you were traveling already. Okay, my bad.
No,
Calling from
not
DC
yet.
still.
That'll be next week.
Tight,
But,
tight.
Yeah.
Last but not least, calling in from my immediate left over here, we got your boy Soju. What's up, man?
Ho, ho, ho. It's your boy, Holly Jolly Stains, back in Florida.
You fucked my mom, Santa Claus.
Yes,
Hell yeah.
I did.
Unbelievable. Holly and Jolly Stains. Love to see it. Love to smell it. Love to touch it.
I'm sorry,
Hey,
what?
Hey,
What
bud.
is
what?
happening now?
Hey, bud.
Put your pants back on.
I never had them on to begin with.
Jesus Christ.
Boys, we're
Gonna bring
rounding out the trilogy, Terrifier trilogy.
Thank God. Check this one off the list, boys.
Checking
Yeah,
our list.
Another franchise covered by Straight Chillin'.
Yeah,
Just
I'm pretty sure
knocking
this
'em
one
off.
is in the bag for good.
Forever.
Oh, yeah. We'll never be coming back to this one.
Yep. It's not a revisitsums kind of show.
You can hold us to that, you know.
To be fair, though, the first Terrifier we covered on episode 168. So that was a long time. And then the
Yeah.
other two we just did back to
Like
back.
back to back. Yeah.
So,
Damn, that was crazy long
dude.
ago.
yeah.
We've been doing this a while. So yeah, we're talking Terrifier 3 tonight. Before we get into it, let's tackle a little bit of housekeeping real quick. Our January poll is currently posted over on our Patreon website. If you guys support us at the $5 level or above, you get the chance to vote on a movie we're talking about this January. The January poll's just shit that we missed in 2024. There's a ton of new releases we didn't get a chance to talk about. We got 6 of those on the poll for you to vote between. They are Asriel, Oddity, Eczema, Red Rooms, Strange Darling, and Heretic.
Robert,
I love
give me those numbers now.
Oh, I'm gonna give them to you.
I want you to tell me what those
it
numbers
makes me
are.
crack up that we pronounce I know it's probably right, but pronouncing eczema as eczema, like it
Exuma.
just seems like an entirely
Yeah.
different kind of movie to me.
Well,
when you
I
say
think
that
in
verbally.
Korean it's some totally different. It's like
Yeah.
Pamyo. I'll have
Just
to look that-
nothing even
nothing.
remotely.
Yeah, I don't even
Well, I
know
mean,
where
it
they
seems
got
like it
that
should
title
be
from.
exuma because
Exuma.
based on what it's
yeah.
based on the root
Probably.
word, but I mean,
Yeah, I could be
Eczema
saying
is
it wrong.
funnier.
I don't know. The movie Eczema, you know. Well, speaking of Eczema, still sitting at a goose egg, big old 0%, no
Uh-oh.
votes.
Damn, that's
Next,
racist.
yeah, sure. Next, you got Asriel sitting with 4% of the vote. I think that was really just like a single vote, finally. After that, we got Strange Darling sitting at 16% of the vote. Then we got a tie for second place between Red Rooms and Heretic, both at 20% of the vote. And Oddity still at the top of the list with 40% of the vote.
Speak
Whoa.
English, Doc. We ain't scientists.
That's a like I really like the double wide extra movie format because it just it mixes things up so much. I feel like there's a lot of people making hard decisions on this list because there's I think a few of them on here that are like really well liked, generally speaking.
Yeah, it does. I mean, but really, when you break it down, it's still really like a three-way kind of tie. That I mean, not
It is
tie, but
now.
like race, three-way race.
Yeah.
And also like comes down to what people have seen too. So like I don't know, it's just it adds a level of intrigue to me.
I was
guess we've
having
been
this-
doing the old format too long.
Yeah, I was having this conversation with Bob earlier. I'm surprised, just in general, not about this poll, but that Azrael has not gotten as much love just this year from the horror community, like any buzz.
It's been quiet. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so
Very.
surprising to me. I thought it would be on the oddity level. Like when I saw both these
Oh,
films,
really?
I thought that they would be comparable in buzz size. Yeah. I thought it would be around there.
The size of the
Buzz.
buzz.
I just
The
don't hear
buzz. Let's
anybody
measure
really.
the diameter of this buzz here and figure out what's going on.
Yeah, it just seems like nobody's talking about that one, but I think it's a great one.
Yeah.
They just cheated us.
They cheated us.
Faux show. Get your votes in before the end of the month. We'll see what we're talking about this January. We are still dropping minicasts every other Friday. Next up, we're dropping a minicast on Friday, December 20th. And that's going to be A Quiet Place Day 1. Juice, this is yours, right? You were talking about this?
I did. So, wrapping up another franchise for the Straight Chillin' crew.
Permanently,
I mean,
man.
you know, check another one.
You found your
off
dream
the
power,
list.
man.
But no, yeah, I cover that one. I feel like when we all covered 2, I was the most forgiving towards that. I feel like you guys were a lot harsher on that film in that review from what I remember. So I felt it appropriate that I tackle that one for a mini review. And yeah, I like that franchise pretty good. And this one I think is it's another PG-13 horror, and I think it serves its purpose in that realm. You know,
Right on.
so not the best thing I've ever seen, but solid.
I'll take your word for it.
Solid, yeah.
Check that out.
Rob is not
Friday
going
the
to
20th.
test that theory for himself. Your recommendation means dick to me.
The man who's got Terrifier 3 VHSs can't take the time to watch
Hey.
a stream.
I have seen the movie, to be clear.
Okay, all right.
I have seen it. And I
I
don't
won't
have
see it.
the Terrifier 3 VHS.
Not yet.
Not yet, yeah. What else we got going on? So today we actually reopened the You Pick the Flick tier for the first quarter of 2025. Congratulations to everybody that did grab a pick. We got 5 lucky winners here. Congrats to Gabriel, Lou, Luke, Robert, and Vince for grabbing a You Pick the Flick.
Nicely done, gents and gentesses.
Thank you. Please send me some good films to watch.
Please.
The more you
Please.
beg, the less likely it becomes. Just
Oh,
let
I'm
it
not
wash
begging.
over you.
I'm just
Okay,
being
all right.
polite and firm.
Asking
Unlike-
firmly.
The next
Requesting.
time I ask, it won't be a question at all.
It'll be with my car.
Please send me good films.
It's the implication. And I think that's all we got for Patreon news. Nothing to plug for me. Do you guys have any plugs?
Just one more thing, one more shouts outs for Nicole, especially since it's the Christmas season. If you want a little bit of extra Christmas coverage before it hits next week, Nicole did just re-release the Creature Comforts episode we did together a couple years ago covering A Christmas Carol. And that is a discussion where we talk about the book, but also a lot of the different properties and similarities and differences, and just the kind of traditions of telling ghost stories that used to be going on back in England and stuff, and its connection to horror. And yeah, so if you want to check that out, head over to Light and Shadow Podcast and listen to the discussion Nicole and I had on A Christmas Carol.
Hell yeah.
Right on. Yeah, I have nothing
Much
fresh
love.
to
Yeah, that's
to
all I
plug
got.
myself. So
I actually forgot something. I do have a plug.
I don't
Oh,
have else, but
come
actually, yes, I have
on.
5 more things.
I'm a liar.
Well, excuse
Um,
me, Mr. Man.
At the time of you listening to this show, we will have just dropped a brand new commentary over on Let's Get Physical Media. My co-host Mikey and myself had a couple friends sit in with us for this commentary of Jingle All the Way, the Christmas classic.
Yeah,
Whoa.
man.
Check it out.
But your wife's cookies are out of this world.
Put the cookie down now.
Who told you you can eat my cookies?
Precisely.
Yes.
Yeah, check it out. Let's Get Physical Media, where you get your podcast. And that's officially it from me. I think our house is clean.
The bump's already playing, so yes, it is clean.
Fantastic.
I don't care if you have more to say. We are done with that segment.
Randy played me off the damn stage. Let's get into the main event. We're talking about Terrifier 3, and we're kicking it off with the back of the box.
What's on the back of the box?
The back of the box.
Bob, speaking of cookies, I think I was nibbling on your wife's cookies a little bit earlier today. Whoa.
Put the cookie down. You make it sound even dirtier than it sounds in the movie. So.
Ooh, slap me silly, Bob. Bob, I know you got this box because I can see it.
Right here, I got the box.
Oh, my lord, it looks black.
Randy, hide
it
that
looks
boner.
black.
Not
Wow.
blue.
It is a 4K.
Oh, it's a 4K, that's why.
See?
Oh,
4K.
Black is this clown's soul, I'm sure. So dark and twisted, bro.
This movie's so fucked up, dog. You don't even
man,
know.
this is the darkest shit you ever seen. Look at the box.
Your fucking weak ass can't handle it. You can't even handle it.
Fucking poser.
But yeah,
Did you
this is
guys
on
ever
4K.
hear of a mean clown? Because that's what this movie is. Are you familiar with this concept?
No.
We're doing it. We're going breaking
Oh,
some new
here we
ground.
go.
This is on Blu-ray and 4K, and it's streaming everywhere now. So it's very easy to find. If you haven't seen Terrifier 3, you can definitely do so very easily. Yeah, so this movie came out in October this year, even though it is a Christmas movie, and it's getting re-released, I think, on Christmas Eve in the theaters. So if you want to see it in the theaters, you can also do that. But yeah, Terrifier 3, runtime of 2 hours and 5 minutes. It is unrated, as were the previous films. Written and directed by your boy Damien Leone, starring Lauren Lavera, David Howard Thornton. A bunch of cameos in this one too. Samantha Scafidi is back in this as well. But yeah, your boy Chris Jericho, Tom Savini makes a very small cameo. Daniel Roebuck is in here as well. Clint Howard has a cameo. Just a bunch.
What's up with this? What's up with this box? It looks like the first Terrifier. Like this.
It does not represent the Christmas well.
Yeah, it does not represent Christmas at all on the front of this box.
That is like
Yeah.
the defining element of this entry in the franchise.
Yeah, this is weird. And like if I saw this from a distance, I would just assume this was the first Terrifier film.
Yeah, I guess that's a fair point.
Does not.
There
look
are-
like 3.
There are so the Blu-ray has different art than the 4K and from the Steelbook that's out there. They all have different art. The Blu-ray actually has him with his like Christmas tree glasses on,
Yeah,
which would make a lot more sense, right?
make a lot more sense.
And the
I mean-
Steelbook, I think, is just like a art. It's not Christmassy at all. I don't think it's just his face again.
I'm genuinely
Terrible.
shocked that they didn't already re-release Terrifier 2 and 3 with those the sunflower glasses and the Christmas tree glasses and as a bonus.
That's
throw
for
in.
next year, Randy.
Oh, you can get them.
We gotta keep the money train a rolling, boys.
Oh God.
Ain't that the truth?
Hot Topic's gotta have some new merchandise, boys.
Anyways, yeah, this movie's out there. Plot synopsis brought to you by IMDb is as follows. Art the Clown is set to unleash chaos on the unsuspecting residents of Miles County. Whoa, as they peacefully drift off to sleep on Christmas Eve. My computer freaked the fuck out for a second. That was weird.
It's the drones, Bob.
I know.
They're flying over the top of the house, Bob.
The Jersey drones are after us.
The Jersey drones.
Get to the
Man,
closet.
How far we've come since the Jersey Devil. Cryptids have gotten weirder and weirder.
They're all AI now, brother. We're fucked.
Even the cryptids are AI. God damn.
Oh God! AI Sasquatch is busting through my goddamn door with a Slim Jim.
Folklorists are lazy as fuck these days. Am I right? AI Sasquatch. He's tonguing my butt digitally.
What? That's okay.
That's
Yeah.
what Sasquatch is known for.
Butt tonguing.
Like nothing
You
I've
know.
ever smelled before in my life.
We all know.
That's what he's saying, I guess.
What is
It's a
happening
reverse.
to us?
Dirty bird.
That's what Bob's saying to the Sasquatch.
Yeah, ooh, you dirty bird.
Got a whole little dialogue going on here in Bumps.
That tongue's a fucking helicopter today. Woo.
Damn.
One day we'll be. This is our own version of AI. Is just holding whole conversations where the bumps are just conversing with each other
Just
instead of us.
stop. Okay, we got a show to do. Okay,
we?
Terrifier 3, it's a brand new movie. We've all seen it. Boys, would you recommend folks check out Terrifier 3? Randy, why don't you kick us off?
I would recommend this on the caveat that it is a specifically Christmas. Like we've talked about this in years past. The Christmas setting, the Christmas set dressing, some symbolism, all that stuff, setting things and contextually like basing things in Christmas time is a boon to me for a horror movie. It helps me gloss over some of the gimmick works for me still. And there's a limit to that, I feel like, eventually. But I think that if you are likewise looking for something Christmas horror, you could do a whole hell of a lot worse than this, and it makes some of the edges sand down a little bit on my end anyway. So that's my qualified response.
Christmas Randy. He's at it again with a soft recommend, I guess. Juice, what about you?
No, I wouldn't recommend people check this out. And to kind of jump off Randy's comment there, because this specifically stuck out in my mind when I watched this. It reminded me of that character from Love Actually, who goes in and he re-records his song. And he just changes the normal lyrics to a Christmas lyrics. He just puts Christmas in the song.
Bill Nye,
Bill Nye. Yeah,
it's not his song. It's the Kinks.
Well, and he talks shit about it the whole time about how people are just gonna eat it, buy it up anyways because it's Christmas time, and I put Christmas in the word. See how ridiculous people are? They'll do, and he just talks.
Sentimental hogwash.
That's what I felt about this movie when I watched it. It was like, what? It's Christmas. They'll love it. They'll buy it anyways because it's art, and he's into Christmas and they're gonna do it. But no, I think that this is very it's very gimmicky and it's boring to me now at this point. So no, I wouldn't recommend it. This is not the franchise for me. Yeah,
cynical
we'll talk about it more, but like to me, it's like, yeah, it's definitely Christmas gimmick, and it is that to some degree, but they could have easily skated by without that extra gimmick. Like it's only the third entry in this franchise that is ramping up in popularity, not down. So I think they could have released 3 like set in Halloween again.
Yeah, no, they absolutely
8 times
could
before they really started exploiting the extra boost that Christmas gives it. I don't think it.
Well, I only mentioned that because you mentioned it, and that's like once I was watching this movie, I really felt like that. It really reminded me of that Love Actually shtick, of like what it's Christmas, So
Bill Nye's the best part of that movie. I want to sideline that in conversation, but yeah,
send an embarrassingly big car and I'll be there.
Guy rules.
But no, I would not recommend this. This franchise is going down hard for me.
Going down hard.
Tanking. Bob, would you recommend people check this out?
Oh no. You're into the Terrifier thing, you're getting, and you're probably going to be mostly satisfied with this. It's fine, I think. Yeah, I don't know. It's just fine for me, honestly. It's a light recommend, I think. And it sounds like kind of I guess across the board. So a no from Juice, and then like I don't know, a very light recommend, I guess, from the 3 of us. Very light.
Yeah, yeah, that tracks with what we've said about this franchise in the past. I think.
There you go.
A couple weeks ago.
When we talked about Terrifier 2.
Yeah.
Copy paste. Slap Christmas on it.
There you go.
Holly jolly mess.
We are gonna be spoiling the shit out of this movie as much as you can, anyways. And here comes your warning.
Spoiler warning.
Oh Lord.
Oh, Bob. You got a plot synopsis? Is anything happen in this film that's worth mentioning again?
I got it. I do have it typed up. It is significantly shorter than the Terrifier 2 plot synopsis. way too much happens in that movie, and I think perhaps not quite enough happens in this
They
one.
cannot find the happy medium.
I think a lot of people do reflect upon this as being the two was like super bloated. This is somewhere in the middle. And I do think to sort of like defend this movie. I know I saw it with a bunch of folks at the theater, and several of them did walk out saying this was their favorite. So it is fairly well liked.
Let's see what we got here.
Let's get into it here. All right, after being beheaded by Sienna Shaw, Art the Clown's headless body decapitates a cop responding to the incident, and he makes its way over to the asylum where survivor Victoria Hayes, now possessed by the little pale girl, has just given birth to Art's own head. After reattaching his head to his body, Art and Victoria kill a nurse and a guard before entering an abandoned house and going into hibernation. We then jump 5 years later. Sienna is being released from a mental health care center, and she moves in with her Aunt Jess and her husband Greg, as well as their daughter Gabby, who very much looks up to Sienna. Sienna struggles with hallucinations and survivor's guilt. She also struggles to reconnect with her brother Jonathan, who is currently attending college. Art and Victoria awaken from their slumber when two demolition workers show up to the house. They're both quickly killed. Art then kills a Santa Claus at a bar and takes a suit. He then kills a family in their home with an axe. The next day, Art poses as a mall Santa and blows several people up, including a bunch of kids. Sienna sees him before the explosion, but isn't sure if he was a hallucination or not. Sienna visits Jonathan at university and meets his roommate Cole and his girlfriend Mia, who hosts a true crime podcast, which is Have you heard of our podcast? It's like a trope in movies that just like fucking.
It's
really
a trope in
annoys
life.
me.
Everyone
It
we
is.
know is
Everybody has a fucking podcast.
Well, yeah, I guess that's fair.
Anyway, she really wants to interview them, and Sienna lashes out, confessing she thinks Art is still alive. She brings the letter Jonathan wrote her while she was in the hospital, which explains demons can possess people, specifically evil people like serial killers, and Victoria Hayes is now currently a host. The letter also says a counterpoint must be appointed to keep them from becoming too strong, and that is Sienna. And she also plans to return to the Terrifier and retrieve her sword, which she apparently buried there. Art arrives.
I know writers who use subtext, and they're all cowards.
Whoa, Damien, is that you?
That's pretty funny. Art arrives and kills Mia and Cole with a chainsaw in the shower. Sienna sees a news story about the mall explosion, and she tells her family they aren't safe. Greg leaves to pick Jonathan up from college, and Sienna falls asleep. She dreams of her father and of what appear to be like demons crafting her armor. She then wakes up and goes downstairs to find Art and Victoria decorating Greg's corpse, his mangled-ass corpse. Sienna is bound to a chair, as is her Aunt Jess. Victoria shows them a skull and claims it belongs to Gabby. They then kill Jess by hammering a tube down her throat and like putting rats down it. It's really gross. Art then brings Gabby in the room, which, proves that she's still alive. And Victoria now claims the skull belongs to her brother, Jonathan. Victoria tries to possess Sienna, but fails. Victoria tells Sienna to open her Christmas gift from Gabby, in which she has wrapped her sword. And she uses it to cut Art's throat and decapitate Victoria. Victoria's blood sort of melts the floor and creates a portal to hell, in which Gabby falls into it. Sienna tries to pull her up while fighting Art, but she does allow Gabby to fall into the pit and loses her sword as well. Art escapes through a window, gets on a bus, and then Sienna vows to find and rescue her little cousin, Gabby.
Come to the coast, we'll get together, have a few laughs.
That's a great fucking bump, too. So there you go. The movie, it very much, even though it's like the third part in this trilogy, it very much feels like a middle movie to me. Like it's now getting to the finale, which I think Leone has sort of not said definitively, but he thinks he probably needs 2 more movies to finish the story in his mind.
Oh my god.
Which feels like
too
much.
Pulling too much weight in that sentence.
Yeah, another 4 hours to wrap up the Terrifier story feels like it's too much, I think. But
man, we're gonna have to talk about that at length. Go on though.
So yeah, it feels like a middle movie to me. That it just wasn't very satisfying. I kind of, after seeing Terrifier 2, which I think is still my favorite of the trilogy, I thought the very bloated plot that they sort of had going through that movie it felt like a different take on a slasher movie, and I thought it could potentially be going somewhere very interesting. This movie doesn't really answer any of the questions that were set up in that movie. It sort of just mostly poses even more questions, and it makes me kind of lose some faith in the overall like story that like the tightness. Like I don't know if it's fully fleshed out, if he's sort of shooting from the hip or whatever. I don't know. It just feels kind of like they didn't do much to progress the plot almost at all in this movie, and it's just kind of 2 hours with some
What do
blood
you
and
mean?
guts.
You wore a whole new pair of glasses.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of feels like that. Like, I mean, he killed people, but in a slightly different context. And like, yeah, I'm down with a slasher. Generally, I quite enjoy a good slasher. I just kind of wanted a little more out of this. I think, generally speaking.
Are we in the review segment already? Kinda...
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's the thing is I feel like the reason my feeling towards this franchise feels like it's souring is because I don't know because I haven't gone back and listened, but when I think about the first Terrifier, I know the problems that it had, but it always like, yeah, this character's really interesting, and yeah, they're just kind of putting him in this setting, and it's all about the kind of kills that you're gonna get and how this character reacts to them. But the problem is we then had this 2.5 hour film that came out for two, and they're trying to make it rich and all this lore and all this backstory, and these new characters are gonna keep progressing and you're gonna keep following them. And I wasn't really about that because it was quite silly, and it didn't seem to matter at all. And this just kind of confirms it for me to where ultimately what it kind of feels like to me is this one trick pony, where it feels like the time you hear like a song on the radio and you think, hey, that's a new band, that's a quite a good song, I'm gonna buy this CD. And then track number two is like pretty similar and you think like, okay, like I hope this, and then the album just falls flat because they can't write any other different songs. It's just they all sound
It's a one-hit wonder.
It's a one-hit
Dude,
wonder. It
this
really
is the most
does feel
millennial comparison possible.
buy
the CD.
Buy the CD, the cassette. But it really, like, he feels now to me like this one-trick pony, this one-hit wonder. And I was glad. Me and Bob had a slight conversation about this before the cast, just because we were hanging out today. I know.
Oh my god!
But I was really happy to hear him say the exact feeling that I felt of where I was watching this, and I was just bored with it. It's not shocking me. It's not interesting. It's really just kind of boring because it's now the same shit again and again.
The gimmick is a little stale.
And it's very stale. It's very stale.
I don't know. I'm very much like I agree with that feeling generally speaking, but I keep talking myself out of it in my mind to some degree. Because it's like so many fucking franchises do this sort of like this is a slasher franchise. Of course it's fucking repetitive. If I ding this movie for that, I feel like, well, why am I not so hard on other franchises for that same sin? I will critique them for it, but I don't necessarily like see it as like makes it the whole franchise like poop, like one trick pony, all that stuff. Like I don't know that I would levy the criticism the same level. And I'm trying real like I think about this movie and this franchise in general is not at all shy about going after children in particular. Like it's willing to do that, which is something that like people generally like are not accustomed to. It's like sort of the last holdout in terms of like popular decorum or whatever, and it crosses that line very heartily in each movie. And to me, it's like I feel like that I don't love seeing that sort of thing, just generally speaking.
Yes,
but I really loved like
already
Evil Dead
admitted.
Rise, and I praised it for that exact thing. So like, I don't know. I don't know if I can find a consistent thread that makes this movie's sins that I can point out that I'm like, I don't like this about it. I don't like this about it. Most of them are things that could be levied at movies that I like and things about movies that I like. And somehow it just doesn't work for this. And I think part of it is that it's not that it's repetitive. It's not that it's gimmicky. It's not that it's one trick pony or any of that stuff. It's just that it doesn't feel like, I don't know. It doesn't feel like it's it just doesn't land. You know what I mean? It feels too bloated in this one in particular, but it just doesn't. It feels mean spirited. It kind of has that hostile feel. It kind of like HOSTEL, I should say, that hostile feel.
Not a
It
hostile.
has that like torture porn. Like I get a similar feeling from this as I do from torture porn, in that it's all about the gore and kills, and like I can appreciate people that enjoy that sort of thing or whatever. It's not typically my bag on its own, and I think the gore effects in this movie and in a lot of these movies are good and like high quality effects. I just don't really like them where I like them in other movies. And I think it's because the movie feels meaner than
Yeah.
like some of the gore effects you might see in like even Friday the 13th and shit like that. Even these no-name red shirt characters getting killed off seems like a kinder way of doing business than trying and often failing to give us an emotional stake in children characters just to have them brutally murdered. You know what I mean? Like, it feels overly mean to my taste. And that's the only key difference I've been able to identify so far.
This installment definitely feels like more cold than I think part two did to me. Like
Well,
there was
yeah, it's winter.
more laughs. Yeah, I know. There's more laughs in part two, I think. This one does have some chuckles, like some funny moments too, like
Mhm.
specifically Art just doing goofy shit. In the midst of also doing really heinous shit, but it felt like colder, and I think his facial expressions were also just like very bleak, like very stoic in a lot of these scenes too. It does feel like more mean spirited, I think, in a way that I don't necessarily love. And I did I appreciate the Christmas aesthetic too and everything, but I did find myself like just generally preferring the like killer clown being set on Halloween. It just makes like more sense, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, and it feels less gimmick. It is still a gimmick, but it feels less gimmicky, I guess, to have this like guy dressed up as a clown killing people on Halloween because he's in costume or whatever. There's like not a
Right, because
Christmas clown.
it's not like at odds with the spirit of the holiday at all. It's
Yeah,
was, you know.
yeah,
No,
but
I kind of agree, but like I think that I would come back and watch this one before I would watch any of the others because of the
really,
gimmick. I don't think I have any interest in ever revisiting the first two personally.
mm,
Um,
I don't think I'll
but
ever
this one,
rewatch this movie again,
yeah, it would
even
be.
with the
Trust me, it's still a
Christmas, which
pretty
is
tall.
yeah.
It's a pretty tall hill for me to climb to want to watch this again at all. But I
mm,
think if I'm going back to any one of these, it's for the seasonality of it because they do
yeah,
that really, really, really hard, and they go hard in the Christmas aspect, and I give it credit for that for sure because I really like when you can find like fucking trimming the tree with the dad's entrails. That's
yeah,
like just great horror comedy Christmas shit, like using Christmas symbology for horror comedy things. I like that sort of thing, that sort of like completely silly, like almost flash animation, like edge lordy shit. I
Oh
can get
God.
behind some of that to a certain extent. It's the like full on like brutality of some of it, especially towards like young kids or whatever, that I'm just like, this just
mm,
Well,
different.
that's the thing about it is I think the few and very few, let me highlight, bright moments or somewhat clever ideas that this movie brings to the table actually somewhat make it worse for me because they highlight how much everything else is not special
For sure.
and how I feel like he completely misses the mark on so much of this, and it kind of like for me kind of like pulls back the curtain a little bit because like for instance, one aspect where I was really intrigued about and I was hopeful for was when Art makes that like that weapon or whatever that
oh yeah,
freezes.
yeah, yeah,
The nitrogen, yeah.
Yeah, because okay,
liquid
it's
nitrogen or whatever. Yeah,
Christmas and you're gonna
Yeah.
have Christmas themed kills, right? Right? That's what we're gonna be doing here. You're everything, and even okay, you're gonna be throwing people's entrails on a Christmas tree and stuff like that. It's like, okay, how are we? Why does it need to be set at Christmas? What is this going to? How is this going to separate itself in any way? And it was okay where he uses it to freeze the guy's leg. I thought it was underutilized. That specific weapon was
Really?
underutilized. But most of the kills, again, in the same scene, he pulls out the gun, he
hmm,
shoots the guy. One of the
Hmm.
biggest main kills is just him pulling out the chainsaw, and
Mhm.
you know, and it's in a shower setting, and it's just there's nothing special about a majority of these kills. And so him like bringing out this special kind of weapon that has some kind of themed, you know, kill in some kind of way, it really just kind of like, ooh, gets me excited, but then I dip further down into
Yeah.
disappointment because we
So
don't
it's like
ever
the
really use those
highlights. The
things
highlights get
again.
they dull the rest of the film a little bit.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
could see that. I would disagree with some of that analysis. For me, like they spent way too much time setting up that goddamn nitrogen tank. This movie needs to be trimmed in many ways. Show me that he pulls out a thing that says liquid nitrogen on it. I got it. Done.
Yeah,
We got
yeah.
it. We don't need to see him do it to the rat. We don't need to see him tinkering in a fucking workshop. Like there's things like that where I'm like, they're showing way too much. That just have it be a one-off. As quickly as he pulls out a gun, like obviously we don't need setup for a gun. Treat the fucking liquid nitrogen that way, and it becomes punchier. I think. I don't know, but like, and then like, I agree that like I wish that like the chainsaw kill, like to me that's a perfectly fine kill for the other two movies, but it's not thematic enough in this. It is on its own merits, entirely extrasized from the rest of this movie, like really well like the effects are really good. It's really really well done in terms of the effects, and I give a lot of credit to some of these effects. I think that they look for practical on a budget, like even still this is somewhat on a budget.
It's the
It's like
highlight of the movie for
it's
sure.
the
The
best, yeah,
practical
and that's what
effects.
people come to this for. I can appreciate that. It's just, it's not
It
enough for
only
me.
carries you so
Like it's
far, though.
I
yeah.
I mean,
agree,
how
but
many
Yeah.
movies are we going to keep going back to and say, "Whoa, well, the effects were good"?
I mean, yeah, I totally agree.
it's like, damn.
Are you
But
kidding?
that
Like
is
that's better than a lot of slasher sequels do, though. I have to give it credit because so many, like, how many Friday the 13th like sequels did we get where there's not a single kill worth mentioning? You know what I
But
mean?
we shit
Like,
on a lot of those movies too. I would
yeah.
shit all over Friday the 13th Part 3 equally. I
no,
mean, that movie's not good.
as an individual movie, but I mean, like as a franchise, we don't necessarily. We're like, yeah, but it like we still praise it. I wouldn't praise this movie for I can unilaterally say that this movie has pretty good fucking visual effects. I can't say that about some of these other slashers.
Okay, well, to be fair, to be fair about that, then a lot of things that people highlight in about later types of slashers, especially Friday the 13th, which I think a lot of people honestly generally agree is a very middling type of franchise, anyways. Not a lot of people love the Friday the 13th franchises, anyways. But to go to that, a lot of times,
I think a lot of people do.
but
I
what
think
we
a
do,
lot of people
what we
love that
do
franchise.
highlight is like, okay, especially like 6 and 7 is the kills. Okay, so I don't necessarily think the Terrifier kills are so amazing. There's a couple of them that are somewhat creative, but I think where their creativity leads to. So sometimes, especially a lot of the Friday the 13th lean into the gag aspect of how ridiculous these kills can get. Where I feel like y'all are talking about how cold this is. It's like, oh, and again, I said this in part 2, so I'm not like, but it feels like that mall goth edgelord shit. Like, bro, how far can we push? Oh, dude, she's masturbating with some glass, bro. Isn't that
Yeah.
so fucked up? And it's just,
I think this movie really solidified
dude.
that as a
Yeah.
guiding light for them, because I like we talked about that in Terrifier 2, and there's definitely some moments where it kind of feels like that, but in this one, like, yeah, masturbating with a piece of fucking
Glass, it's the glass, right?
yeah, a mirror
Piece of
shard.
mirror.
Yeah.
Is like, it's just too gross. It's like it serves no purpose
I
except
don't
to
even
make.
think it's gross. I just think it's
I think it's
fucking
gross.
dumb. I think it's lame as shit.
It's gross, but not in a fun way. Like, it's not.
Yeah,
It doesn't leave me feeling anything other than what you described, which is like this. This feels like somebody trying to get an elicit a reaction out of me rather than me feeling
Well,
a reaction natively.
I think there are some good kills in this. That I mean, the glass masturbating isn't exactly awesome, but like art, like ripping that dude's face in half in the attic, I think is pretty notable. The Santa kill scene was like kind of middling to me. I didn't really love that. The
It was
Chris
too long, but I
Jericho-
kind of wish the whole movie was like that.
long.
Honestly, like I wish. Yeah. Anyway, so that gets into lore stuff. But go ahead.
The Chris Jericho kill, I thought that was really good. Like at the very beginning of the movie, they rip his jaw off basically. That
Mhm.
stuck out. The shower scene is probably the most notable, where the dude gets chainsawed in the ass and then right in his fucking dick and balls, and
Yeah,
his
that
dick's
was a
flopping
playing the
around.
hits moment too, but it like they made it look convincing enough to where I was like, I'm satisfied enough with the craft quality here that the not creative quality of this same kill from the first movie isn't
The
gonna ding so bad.
the one that actually like did kind of gross me out was the rat tube kill with the ant at the end of the movie. That did
Mhm.
actually, I thought that was pretty fucking gross. But the rest of them were,
One thing,
some
yeah,
highlights
the one
anyways.
I
thing
But
they
appreciate.
gotta
Sorry, go ahead.
do with it is they gotta make it as brutal as possible, but they always leave the person like kind of alive. They did that too with in Terrifier 2,
the
where that
bedroom
really
kill,
brutal kill with the
yeah,
girl in her
Yeah,
bedroom and her
yeah.
mom comes in, and even though her half her face has been peeled off and all this shit, she's like still like kind of gurgling and talking. And
They did
every
the
time they do that, this I think the Santa is still they
well,
do it a couple
they do it
times.
in the
yeah.
most notable time they do it in part three is the podcast girl talking about wanting to look into Art the
Right.
Clown's
Yeah.
eyes, and he like mangles her in the shower, but she's still alive, and he takes his sunglasses and looks into her eyes. That's maybe the best like moment in the movie.
Probably, honestly,
Yeah,
because it actually
It's a
feels like
setup
it
payoff.
kind of
yeah,
set
yeah.
up and pays off. It's kind of saying about these other slashers, but I mean, even if you're like, okay, looking at screams, well, every scream kind of says something or does something. I mean, just I don't know. It just feels like this movie wants to. I think, see, sometimes, especially when he's building out this kind of fantasy world, which I think is I don't like it at all. It's not interesting to me. I think it's quite silly. But like he's trying, and like
Right.
I think when he's trying to make it richer, I think that's why I feel like it's a one-trick pony, because I think all those elements are bad. I think the acting, the
I agree.
dialogue, and the fantasy aspect, I think they're all very lame or bad. And so when people try to defend this film, like, oh, the effects are good, I'm like, okay, but he literally can't do anything else well, in my
The thing
opinion.
is, like, I'm not a skilled enough. I'm not a filmmaker, so I'm not a skilled enough filmmaker to really identify what the problem is. But I'm telling you, like, Terrifier 1, I will absolutely complain about that having like no real stakes. It seems like, and no like, there's a no emotional through line. It's clear, or no like big central core to the thing. It's just experiencing a series of kills. These two movies and the ongoing franchise apparently is trying to do that, and I agree. Like, I agree that I don't think that they work at all, and it drags the movies down. These two movies have been dragged down by that.
Mm.
But I also kind of admire that he's trying to correct these things. And also, I admire the attempt at an ongoing thread of stories in a slasher franchise where that is typically not done well at all, and things just get retconned to shit every movie. Like, I appreciate that it's an attempt, even if I don't think it's strong enough. It's like if they took like a Friday the 13th. What is the one with the clairvoyant girl? That's part 7 or
7,
something.
yeah.
So like it's like if they did like 5 movies around like clairvoyance and Friday the 13th or whatever, where they made like the same characters, they made the through line, they had a Tommy Jarvis type or whatever that you follow
Bobby
and you
Jarvis.
go all the
Bobby,
way
My
through.
boy Bob Jar.
It's
that's
like if they
me.
did that, like that still wouldn't be like that would be admirable because it's like, okay, they're paying attention to the broader schema of the world and they're not retconning things. They're not just like throwing money down and saying just make another one. I don't give a shit. They're really
Mm.
trying. It just isn't a good enough concept, and it's not performed well enough or done well enough for it to be that much better. Like that's
I
the real
generally
issue, I
agree
think.
with Randy on this. I think it's an admirable attempt to try something new. It's just not really panning out in the best way. And I appreciate that he's trying something new, yeah, because we've got 1.5 million slasher movies already.
Mhm.
But there was like some of the lore that they tried to add to this, which didn't really. It feels like he's not really playing by his own rules. about like demons possessing specifically evil people, specifically serial killers, which doesn't make any sense. Victoria was just like a normal girl.
Right.
She's not a serial killer. I'm assuming if the pale girl like was real and not just a figment of Art's imagination or not just a demon, like that little girl was obviously not a serial killer. Them trying to possess Sienna, she's not a serial killer. Like, so it doesn't really make
Right.
much sense. And like I get like the flashback of like her and her dad, like I was totally fine with that. Like him showing her the drawing and
Me.
stuff. I
Yeah.
I didn't bother me. I thought it was fine. And like her
It bothered
like
me.
dreaming of like these demons forging her armor in hell, and I'm
Oh.
assuming in the next movie like we're gonna actually have at least some of the movies set in hell. Like that could be something different and it could be cool. I don't know that
I would be
I
interested to
have
see it happen, but I
yeah,
also
yeah.
think that this is the thing is I'm of two minds about so much of this movie, and that's one of the things. Like all the lore or whatever, I think is the fact that it's turned very very deeply comic book so quickly. Like it's they had no core in the first movie, and and by the second one they stuffed in like a horror, like a silly horror comic core
They
with
made
like
a fucking
superhero logic and
turducken out of
shit.
that thing.
A
And it's
chosen
like,
one.
I
She
don't-
literally says,
Yeah.
like, I'm the chosen one or
Superpowers, yeah,
something.
the
Like,
chosen one,
yeah.
all the shit,
Yeah.
they're like the
Heals
tropiest, most
herself?
overdone
Oh my
shit in the
God.
world
She
is
found
what
her
they
dream power,
center
man.
the things around. Yeah, exactly. They center everything around the most tropey shit imaginable, and it's like, yes, okay, you gave it a core, but it's not compelling and it's not interesting on its own. So it still kind of it doesn't actually it's not that additive to things for me ultimately. And like the dad stuff like is kind of core to that. I understand they're trying to add an emotional thing there. It just isn't working, and I don't like the fact I thought that she just dressing up like on Halloween, and it just so happened that she's a warrior angel or whatever, and she also has to do this insane thing. But she literally is a chosen one who is literally an angel to offset demons, and it's
Oh
just
my
silly. It's just
God.
fucking silly, and it doesn't really work. The only way that it works is if they do wackadoo shit like go to hell or something. And I don't
Hell
even know if it
yeah.
works then. It's at
Art
least
goes
just
to hell.
an interesting gimmick to rely on, like the Christmas thing,
Yeah.
to give it a little bit of body. Like
It might make for an interesting movie. I guess we'll find out. We've been complaining a lot about this movie, but I do want to
Yeah.
like highlight
What?
the best part of the movie, which is again David Howard Thornton playing Art the Clown. I think he's absolutely great in this movie as he is in all three of the movies. And like him, like when he's on screen, the movie is at its best, and when he's not on screen, like I do find myself just like kind of bored with the plot of like Sienna like getting to know her cousin who she's missed out the past 5 years of her life, and like her trying like reading her diary and her trying to be like no that's real, I was just sick and in a mental institute, like all this like drama.
Mhm.
Like it doesn't matter, they're all red shirts anyways at the end of the day.
It's like a Vampire Diaries fucking storyline in the middle of this all of a
Yeah.
sudden.
I was
Oh
trying
my
to say
God.
something nice and then I started bitching again. Art the
Yeah,
Clown
that's how it works with this podcast.
absolutely killing it in this movie. So many little moments of Art the Clown that made me laugh, or I thought was just actually chilling. Like him after like that fucking brutal shower scene, he like pulls the kid's leg off and then like smells his foot and like throws it away because it smells stinky, or like just ridiculous shit like that. When he's eavesdropping on Mia and Cole's conversation, and Mia is like,
Yes.
I mean, I don't want to fuck him or anything, and like he kind of freaks out in the hallway.
I was
Like,
saying that I was gonna say that was the best art moment
Yeah.
for me. That's there's these little glimpses of moments where it's like, yeah, you get it, you know what makes this good or special,
Really?
and
Like
you can't. Yeah, him listening in and her being like, yeah, I wouldn't fuck him, and him being like,
Yeah,
oh,
what the
well,
fuck?
it's like
Yeah.
that was
it's the
funny enough.
funny aspect. Yeah, I mean yeah, I didn't find a lot of this film funny, but that was like I said, the freezing thing of like, oh yeah, you're gonna use Christmas kills,
Mhm.
and then he just puts a bomb and blows a bunch of kids. It's like,
Well, a parcel bomb. I thought that
no, it
worked.
just
Yeah, that scene was like just boring. That was boring.
Yeah,
That was boring.
yeah.
They could have really cut that entire thing though. Yeah,
I agree.
story-wise.
The beginning of the movie, after he like kills that whole family, and then he sits down and eats the cookies with his bloody hands, and then does his fucking dishes. Like little moments like that, I love. Him getting his new suit when they're on the subway, and the dude walks in and sits down. He's like, "Hey, I love your fucking costume,"
Yeah,
and then he
that's
just
fine.
like smiles. I thought that whole sequence worked really well. Um, him actually like putting on the Santa suit and like pulling the dude's beard off and wearing it, I thought that was a great touch.
That was
If you're
solid.
gonna make a Christmas slasher movie, like I
Yeah.
thought that was really smart. Him like constantly slapping Sienna on the back of the head when she's like tied up. Again, I thought that was a great moment. Him trimming the tree, Randy, you
was
already
funny,
mentioned
yeah.
that. Like there's some really great moments with Art the Clown in this movie, and I think David Howard Thornton was just like born to play this role and is definitely the highlight. He is
It's
the
a lot
most
of
consistent thing of all three of these movies.
Yeah, I agree. I think that I have a limit on how much of that I enjoy. That like, and it's been pushed by these last two movies specifically because of the runtime of things. The
Yeah.
runtime and the lore heaviness of things really like even a great performance like that is not going to sustain all that stuff. And I don't even love every aspect like that, like the her not wanting to fuck him, saying that's kind of funny or whatever, but it's not my favorite part. Like my favorite scene in this movie is the Santa scene, even though I like story wise it doesn't need to be there really, not at the length it's at anyway. But like it just feels more like I don't know, it feels like the right tone for a Christmas horror. It strikes like a Santa sleigh level rather than a Hostel level, which is like what I prefer. So I don't know.
I like
I
a
don't
lot of
know.
moments in that scene, but
There's
overall,
a lot of little moments in this
yeah.
like these franchises, in particular this movie that work for me. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
Art like sitting on Santa's lap and then just pissing on him. Like I
Pissing
thought
on
that was
Santa is
funny.
really
Like,
funny.
and I do like the cameos in there are like they're cool enough, but there's so many that it starts to it feels like another gimmick, I guess.
Wait, who is Chris Jericho in this film?
The
He's the
orderly at
orderly
the beginning.
He was in the second one too.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha.
And then Tom Savini. Yeah, like I think
On
that
the
they draw a lot of
TV.
attention. It's like Smash Brothers. They're just cramming them all in there. Like,
Yeah.
One thing that I will praise it for that I thought was pretty consistent throughout the movie. There was a couple times where it veered off, but the thing that I liked the most was I thought it looked good.
Yeah,
And
totally.
what I'm not talking about practical effects, I'm talking about reminded me of how much we praised Black Christmas.
Yeah.
That look, that kind of classic vintage look with the types of lights that are used, and it's more
the way
warmth.
the glow works.
Yeah, the way the glow where I thought that it looked great in all the Christmas settings.
I agree. Yeah.
That was the strongest aspect for me.
I can agree with that.
It
Like,
looks
and when
real
I
nice.
sorry, Rob.
I was just agreeing, and this movie does also like pay direct homage to several other movies, but Black Christmas.
It was too referential.
Yeah, it is
Christmas
is to
Evil.
Yeah. Well, the attic
I don't remember the
scene
direct
where
references.
Art,
The attic scene, I remember that. Yeah,
and
I
the Black
clocked
Christmas rocker. Yeah. that is like very
Christmas
on the nose.
Evil. I don't.
He was
I
driving the
understand.
van. That's like he's driving
guess
the
so,
big white
sure.
van or whatever. And then there
Sure,
was
yeah.
and even honestly, kind of I think the scene is very much like Christmas Evil with the Santa comes down because he's like a dad or whatever, and with the mom.
Yeah.
The opening scene is very similar.
It is very similar. I agree with you, but I think you said that as a direct reference to that Tales from the Crypt episode.
Okay.
It is
I
exactly like
seen
the beginning of this movie. And there was a Shining reference with the axe, and like I mean him being with an of them. It does feel like maybe a few too many, but
I thought it was too. I mean, The Shining when it like that because that was from the very beginning. That was in the opening scene, and I was like, uh-oh. And it kept going, and it felt like almost every time they did it, it paused a little too long to be like, right, you get this, right? These are all the Christmas horror movies, right? I know Christmas horror movies. Yeah, I don't know.
It does look great though. I agree with you. This was shot on anamorphic lenses, whereas the other two were not. And I think he did have comparatively a much larger budget on this. I think Terrifier 2 was $250,000. This was 2 million. So he was able to focus more directing, and he actually hired a crew to do the practical effects, whereas in the other movies he did 100% of the practical effects himself.
Well, I
So
think they
that
work, man. Like I don't know, like that's the thing is like the Art the Clown, he works as a fun character to watch. The kills, whether they're creative or not, are well performed and shown. It's really those are the highlights of this film for me. Those two things, and everything else is at best like forgettable, and at worst dragging it down quite a bit.
Yeah. The coolest thing about this movie to me is just the fact that it is an unrated, totally independent horror movie getting released in theaters and doing this movie. So like to talk about the experience of seeing this movie, went to the theater to watch it, and it wasn't even a Friday or Saturday. I think we went on a Thursday, and it was a sold out theater. And weekend. It was like a week after it came out, I think, and sold out. And there were all these people with like Terrifier shirts on. There was someone in the crowd actually dressed up like Art the Clown. People were like outside taking pictures, standing in front of the poster on the wall and everything. Like it felt like an event. It felt like a major franchise movie came out, and it's like this little indie movie, and it was just like really, the vibe of it was really cool and exciting, and I'm glad people are digging it, and I'm glad that it's finding success, and that it's this like little indie horror franchise that could. I think that's the by far the coolest thing about this, and I'll keep rooting for him
I
even
agree
if I
with
don't
that.
love him, but I think it's
I'll
generally a
agree.
positive thing. Yeah.
I agree, and like to build on that, like when I think I mentioned this already, but when I went to like the Halloween event at King's Dominion, there's a lot of children that know about this and dress as Art the Clown for Halloween and all that stuff. I'm not sure exactly how I feel about that, but I also think about like that's how it was with Scream too. People our age when Scream came out were running around in ghost
Yeah.
face masks. You know what I mean? And like like while that those movies are comparatively less brutal at the time, they were very considered very brutal. They were slasher films, and we were kids. So like I don't know. Again, I'm at conflict with myself a little bit. Generally though, like culturally, I'm glad that a movie like this can stick. And I think that even though Hollywood is going to continue learning all the wrong lessons from every success that happens, this is like it should be fertile ground for them to be like, oh, okay, so what we need is people who love film and love this genre or whatever to come in and make something the way they want to make it, and then maybe it catches fire, maybe it doesn't, instead of trying to force it to catch fire the way they're like by funneling endless amounts of money into like Red One or some shit like that. Like all these terrible fucking flops that keep happening on the big budget. Like it just shows that the studios don't really know what anybody want, but they continue to try and replicate what they think people want and throw like fucking entire country GDPs at these films trying to make them work, and they'll never learn the right lessons, which is just let creative people be creative and do their shit. And just when it happens, it happens. You cannot predict. You cannot.
Yeah, I agree. The highest grossing unrated movie to be released of all time. So, pretty big feather in the cap there for Damien Leone. There was like one other thing I did want to mention real quick, just like about the plot of this movie that I found kind of confusing. Maybe it's like maybe they're setting it up for the next movie. I don't know. Her brother Jonathan is like almost like a footnote in this movie. He's not a particularly, not to be too mean, but I don't know if like he just didn't want to be in the movie, or if like I don't know. And they like allegedly kill him off screen, and
I
like we
feel
don't
like it's
even
not him.
right, like it's some sort of setup or something, but it just feels like he was barely in this at all.
I call
and then
bullshit on that.
to set him up to be in the next one feels weird. I don't know. It
I
just
think they're
was
gonna
a
set him up to be the next like Avatar, the way that Vicky was, or whatever, or something like that.
Jesus.
I think that's probably what's gonna happen.
I just don't know if he has the chops or something like
It's
that.
this dude. The thing is I don't care.
Yeah, I don't necessarily care
That's the
either.
thing is like anything
I don't mind if
that's
he does because it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
well,
Like,
yeah, that's the thing about anything about setting up and it's gonna be. I just, especially going off the second one where I was like, okay, they set up a lot of things, and I didn't really care then, except for the fact of where they trying to lead this, and then when you get this movie where it just feels so bloated and meandering, and again like a one trick pony, that I felt like it doesn't matter because he gets his head cut off and he gets burnt again. A lightning storm comes, or
yeah.
it just doesn't matter. And that's why it's ridiculous to invest so much into a story that's so silly when you yourself project it as not mattering
Yeah,
That's
it
the
anyway.
feels
I
like it
agree with
doesn't.
that. Like it feels like they're really trying to create a core, but ultimately the beats of this thing are still gonna match. They're gonna somewhat match other slasher movies like Friday the 13th, where like, okay, this time it's lightning that's reviving. Okay, this time it's like they just try and work it into a lore, and it just becomes this bloated, overcomplicated, lost level mess that we don't need to get what people are going to this theater to see, which is stuff that is shockingly brutal. That's what this movie is sold on. That and the comedy of
Yeah.
Art the Clown.
And it
So
does
like
deliver.
it's
on
so it's like be careful what you wish for sort of thing where I'm like, yeah, in the first one I was like, give me something to hang my hat on, and now it's like, take this fucking coat rack away. I don't need this many hangers.
You're surrounded by hats, Randy.
Surrounded
So
by
many
hats. It's a
hats.
living nightmare.
Something else that we like kind of touched on but didn't get too much into is Victoria Hayes, not in the sequel, Terrifier 2, really at all, and then is a major player in this one. The Pale Girl, I guess, now possessed her, so the Pale Girl's not in this anymore.
I
When I was
guess.
like halfway through watching this movie, I was like, where the fuck is the Pale Girl? Like, what is happening? Um, possessed a different person now, and she sort of operates as like Art's mouthpiece, which I guess is like a decent workaround for a character that is nonverbal and doesn't speak. So like we get us some kind of clue as to what's happening and why it's happening. I don't necessarily like love that character, and I guess she's dead now.
I guess.
I don't know. I just didn't necessarily love the character, I guess, generally speaking. I prefer Art to just kind of be Art on his own.
I
It's
said
just
that, yeah. I said that in the first, or no, I said this in the last review of Terrifier 2, where when I was criticizing some of the look of that film, where we were saying, oh, the practical effects, they look so good, they look so good. I was saying, like, ooh, when they did her makeup, it was one of the worst looking things to me in Terrifier 2. And in this one, I was very disappointed to have her as a major character because I still don't think it looks that good. It looks the most janky to me. And I also don't really care about that character. And I was the strongest one supporting. I know Bob did too, but and having her replaced by Victoria was a huge downgrade for me.
Yeah, I would
I
prefer
think
the Pale Girl. Yeah.
I don't think I have a strong preference. To me, they kind of function so similarly, and it just doesn't impact my enjoyment of it because that I don't know. I don't think that her makeup looks that bad personally. Like it doesn't bother me at all. But like it's the role of having an extra person involved. It feels like just another layer of bloat to create more threads for them to thoroughly and time consumingly exploit for like three more movies. Like that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
Is just like it's just alleyways to go down before you get to the final endpoint, which is going to be like I can't imagine this going anywhere that makes all of these side journeys worth it. Like at that point, it functionally is the same as just watching a marathon of Nightmare on Elm Street movies or whatever, where the lore changes every movie. You know, like functionally, it's no different. Like the thing you're
Yeah.
there for is the same, and the frustrations are just like slightly different versions of those frustrations. And one, it's like
Yeah.
there's too much of this, and the other, it's like Jesus Christ, can they be consistent? Like
It turns
they
out he
both have
really is
problems.
making a perfect slasher franchise.
Oh,
All
yeah.
the same problems.
There
Mhm.
there was one more weird thing to me, and this like really stood out as being strange. I thought it was strange, and I was trying to think back to the first Terrifier film. But as gory as this guy is and put in rats with the one thing that was really weird was that he shot this specific shower scene, and they it's presented front and center so much, but he never shows that woman naked specifically. He chops up a dong straight up, but he shoots a sex scene in the shower and specifically makes it as brutal and sexual as possible and doesn't show the woman naked.
I think that was I mean, obviously a choice because he wrote, directed, and edited the thing. So he made all the choices.
Yeah.
But I think it was sort of a direct reaction to criticism about the bisection of the naked woman in the first movie.
See, that seems silly to me. So the guy who's gonna push the limits, who's gonna be like, I don't
Mhm.
care if I'm gonna kill kids, and I'm gonna like, do all these things, and he's censoring himself because people bitched about the first movie. That seemed
Yeah.
like such a cop
I don't think
out
he's
to me.
censoring himself. I think I just don't think I don't know. Like I don't have any particular need to
Yeah,
go
I
and
don't
like to
either.
show the yabos or whatever. Like I feel like it's not. I don't
Thanks for
think
being
that it's
respectful, Randy. I appreciate that.
it just doesn't really matter ultimately
Yeah.
because and like I don't know.
I agree. I
It's
just
not
thought
like
it was
a
a weird
huge
choice.
sacrifice. It's a little weird. I thought it was like I think it's if I could put a spin on what Rob said, I don't know if it's a reaction of like, uh-oh, people didn't like when I did this to a woman, so I got to do it to a man. It's more like, well, fuck them. They don't like it. They gave me shit for doing it to a woman. Now I'll do it to a man, and they can shut the fuck up forever about it. Like you could put that
Yeah,
spin on
that's
it
probably more accurate. Yeah.
It felt
So-
more like, oh, dude, he's putting the chains all up his ass, bro. Oh, dude, look at
I
the
mean,
tongue.
I'll be honest,
like it's just
when I
so
saw the
silly.
dick and balls flopping around, I was like, "Holy fuck it!" I
He's
mean,
like, yeah, he went
That's
for
a
it.
half star right there.
It
Whoa,
is.
That's
he
oh
just got
man.
me a half star.
Oh man. Fuck.
You guys want to hit before we rate this thing?
No,
No,
that was the
No.
last weird thing I wanted to point out.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and do it out of 5. Juice, why don't you kick us off? How do you feel about Terrifier 3?
Not good, Bob. Not good. Just to kind of summarize a lot of things that so the things that I liked. I'll start with the positives. I like the look of the Christmas aesthetic. I thought it was shot and I thought it was shot well and it looked good. And I like some of the things we mentioned again that there are pieces there that are strong. The taking of the beard, sometimes when he switches from the goofy look to the serious look, he's got a very menacing look when they're not going too over the top. When they really like bring it down real quick and he's like looks at you really intensely, that's great stuff. And then some were somewhat but for the most part, there's way too many negatives. So again, some of my negatives are I don't like Victoria. I just don't like her as a character. I don't think she looks particularly good, and I hope that character's done if I ever have to review any more of these films. I think too many of the kills were not themed in a Christmas kind of way, which seems like a huge oversight. It doesn't seem that hard to come up with some gimmicky type of kills. We saw Thanksgiving come out last year and kind of really nailed that. And I think this one falls really flat on the Christmas aspect of the kills for the most part. I feel like there's too much of that edgelord shit going on. It feels it feels like a one-trick pony. It feels like that's all he's got to hang his hat on. It's just like, how far can I push it, bro? I'm gonna stick a chainsaw up his ass. It's like, yeah, but you're not even shooting yabos over. Not that I need them. It feels conflicting.
He skinned his ass raw.
He skinned his ass raw. God. Yeah, it's too long again. It's 2 hours. The acting's not good. The dialogue's not good. We have these info dumps. Oh, well, you sent me these letters and it's a demon. It's like, oh God, this is so bad. And even the Jonathan, I thought that was a cop out to kill him off screen and to put the skull in the, and maybe it has some function, but why would she wrap the sword?
I don't know why she wrapped it. I don't know why she buried it and left it at the Terrifier.
None of that makes a lick of sense. And also, too, it's laughable to go through all of that effort to what? To what? Build suspense? Is she gonna open the sword? Is she gonna? Yes, I don't give a shit. I don't fucking. She could have wrapped it. She could have pulled it from under the tree. It doesn't matter because it's silly to this lore, this fantasy lore. I find most of this film quite lame and boring and just I'm losing patience with this franchise and I don't quite have the endearing aspect that you guys have about the success and everything because I'm like at the end of the day I don't think it's very good art. I don't agree with it. It's just I do think it's a par and to see even if somebody made it on their own to see so many people like for this such like subpar art to be the highest grossing it's like not that much of an achievement for me because I'm like, oh, it's not that good.
Well,
it doesn't deserve that title in my opinion.
It does help potentially open up the door for other indie artists.
Potentially
to get their movies in.
It could also open the door for edgelord bullshit to just try to push it as far as we can, bro. Like
it's really more an industry issue. That like if if the industry is going to take anything from it, it's going to be, well, people love killer clowns. We got to fill the theaters up with killer fucking brutal clowns that murder kids, and that's
the wrong
what wins.
lesson. Yeah,
right.
What I would say is like I don't hold that endearing aspect as much. So that I've seen, and it could just because now I'm just tired of it. If I saw this one first, maybe it would be different. But at this point, it's just so boring to me. It's so I wasn't shocked. I wasn't excited. There was no tension. There was no fear. I mostly was just bored to be. I'm gonna give this a 1.5 for the look, and again for most of the acting from Art the Clown, and for a handful of interesting ideas and kills. But this one falls very short for me.
1.5 from your boy Jude.
Yes, sir. Bob, who's up next? Bob, out of 5, what are you gonna rate this one?
Just to summarize, I guess my general thoughts and feelings. Art is incredible in this. I think David Howard Thornton really is just the bright shining star of this whole franchise. Big fan of what he's doing here. The kills generally do work. Some of them are a little too long, and I do think, well, Damien Leone, I think he is a fine editor. I think he probably needs someone else to edit his movies. I think he's a little too precious. The shower scene sticks out for sure. That dude getting his ass and balls hacked into, pretty fucking memorable. Like I'll never forget that. The attic kill I think was like really one of the nastiest kills I think I've probably ever seen. Chris Jericho kill was solid. The look, this movie looks beautiful. It looks great. I think he totally achieved the like old school like filmic vibe of those like classic Santa slasher movies like Silent Night, Deadly Night, and Black Christmas. I think he fucking nailed that. Christmas vibes are here. Maybe he could have been more creative with the kills, to your point, Juice, but I think the vibes are definitely there with the Santa suit and the beard and the Christmas lights and the mall decked out, the house is decked out, the Christmas party, the goofy glasses, whether you like those or not, with the Christmas trees. Like I think he got a lot out of the seasonal charm, I guess. It has like, too many cameos, but they're kind of fun. I guess, that's okay. But it doesn't progress the plot hardly at all, and whatever it does add to the lore is confusing and boring, and the acting is pretty dodgy. And anytime Art's not on screen, I find myself kind of twiddling my thumbs and just waiting for him to come back. I don't love Victoria in this. She's fine. I guess I don't necessarily like hate her in this, but I just kind of want Art to do the Art thing. Uh, yeah, the true crime podcast is just like, I don't know, man. I just anytime there's like a podcaster on screen, I kind of cringe. I'm like, fucking, we get it. Podcasting is popular. You don't have to put a fucking podcaster in every damn movie. Like you just don't need it
Unless it's a straight chilling crew, then you do
Then
need
you
it.
put them in every fucking
You
movie.
need
Yes.
them in there.
You know, this Terrifier franchise is pretty good. You know,
I'd really,
You know
I
what?
really
had
have
to
to.
change your heart. Rick.
Can you
all of a
imagine what it'd be
sudden-
like to feel Art the Clown breathing on your face?
Just
Wouldn't
getting
that
up
be
in
crazy?
them guts.
Man,
Art goes to
I would hate
Korea.
if that
Damn,
happened
that
to
sounds
me
like a damn
on
good
film.
idea to Soju.
On second thought, this is a perfect movie. 5 stars.
Oh
Five-
wait, Bob, go ahead and
Five.
erase that 1 and just go ahead and change this to a 5.
5 stars. It overall, like, it's got its fun moments, and it's not something that like I mind watching necessarily. It's just not reaching, I don't think, anywhere near its full potential, honestly. And I don't really think the rest of this franchise is gonna get better. I think it's just gonna be kind of more of the same, and probably be like just a little boring to me, honestly. It does feel kind of like the gimmick of Art being nasty is kind of worn off, and I was hoping for more, didn't quite get it. Feels like a middle movie that's 2 hours long and it needs to be an hour and a half. It's just I keep going back and forth on like where I want to rate this. I think I'm just gonna give it like a 2.75. Odd weird score. Yeah, not my favorite of the franchise,
Generous.
but not horrible. Randeezy, how do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, you guys raised a lot of the points that we talked about that I generally agree with. I don't know if boring is the right word, but it's retreading a lot, and that's kind of to be expected from a slasher franchise. But in evaluating this movie, it is still a ding. You know, you can't say, oh, that's just how it is with slashers, with everything. Like at a certain point, you had the opportunity to do something more with it, and you didn't. And so and creativity with the kills. I think that like Damien Leone, as like this franchise in general, I've like grinded my axe on the use of guns and things a lot of times already, like these sort of like uncreative kills, but they also get bolstered with like things like the liquid nitrogen and the rat thing, which, you know, like it or hate it or whatever, like it's something I've never seen before as a kill. Those are 2 kills I've never seen before from a slasher film, and I'm like, I appreciate that. So it's like kind of middling on those things too, because it kind of counterbalances some of the less creative kills where he's like just whipping out a gun and just letting one loose on a guy, or like putting in a package bomb, which only to me played at all because it was a Christmas gift and a kid, and like I don't know, that to me was like, at least it was thematically carried. And speaking of the theme, I think that they could have like aesthetically, it looks great. It really hits that tone that I want to see from a Christmas horror, from a Christmas movie in general. Honestly, it looks like a great Christmas movie, and that's perfect. But yeah, like as far as like thematic kills or whatever, I agree with Justin that they could have just gone all the way and made every single one of them Christmas related, and I would have been a little bit happier. I could have leaned more on that for benefit. David Howard Thornton is great as Art the Clown, but I'm a little like tired of it. I think like I don't know, like like if Freddy Krueger turned into a bit of a forgettable like SNL character joke after a while. I think that's where Art the Clown is headed. He's, more a punchline for I don't know, for some fucking late night bit than he is a fearsome slasher killer anymore. And that, I just feel like that's where Art's headed. Like, even, and that's like one of the best loved slashers of all time I'm talking about with Freddy Krueger. So like, these beloved people, beloved slashers, they fall down this trap a lot, and I think it's happening at an accelerated rate for Art personally. um yeah, so like all the good gets like really really drowned out by like the lore, the length, all that stuff. The acting, as in Bob's words, is fairly dodgy at times. Like, and as much as I appreciate them trying to make a through line, it just doesn't really prop things up properly. It doesn't feel real enough. It feels like a comic book movie has been stuffed inside of this Christmas horror movie. And like Rob also said, it's a turducken. It's too much, trying to do too many things at one time to course correct other things that it did and they wanted to improve on. I appreciate wanting to improve on your past efforts, but I don't think what they're doing now is working much better ultimately. So I've been consistently not hot on this franchise. I gave the first one, I think, a 1.5 or something, or maybe a 2, and I gave the second one a 2.5. And I think I'm more likely to go back and visit this one because the Christmas aspect works for me and because it looks better. So I think I can't justify going lower than 2.5 that I gave the other one. But man, it really tries to get me to go lower. This movie, like, it really wants me to go lower. And I'm giving it the grace that the gimmick offers it. So that's it for me.
What was the
2.5.
It is a
2.5. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah,
Okay.
2.5. I'm just going to stick with a 2.5. We'll call both those movies a draw, this Terrifier 2 and 3. Because, like, Terrifier 2 at least still felt a little more fresh, and this one feels a little more gimmicky and using a gimmick that I enjoy. So it kind of balances them out, I guess.
All right. With Randy's 2.5, that's going to put our aggregate at a 2.25. Let's go ahead and jump into our Mr. Falcon. Dude, that's a fucking great bump too. Good job. Let's jump into our Rotten Tomato segment, see what the critics and users have to say.
Okay, ladies and
Mr.
gents.
Falcon. That's great.
All right, Mr. Falcons, here we go. This is the Rotten Tomatoes segment in which I'm going to have these two Mr. Falcons guess within the best of their Falcon abilities what the aggregate positive score is for Terrifier 3 on RottenTomatoes.com, starting with the critics or the tomatometer, and then moving on to the users or the poopometer or the popcornometer, whatever you prefer to call it. I'm going to start with Juice today, and we have 119 critic reviews for the tomatometer. Justin, out of those 119 reviews, what percentage would you think are positive reviews from the critics?
I should have gone back and listened to our Terrifier 2 because I can't remember. I think that the critics are also praising. Oh, I'll stay somewhat positive. I don't know. I don't know why so many people praise the shit out of these movies, but I'll just take the 69 dudes. Just to be chill.
69 dudes!
Just to be chill about it.
Right.
Clearly.
Please be chill about
Damn, why are
this.
you so chill,
They're
dog?
calming me down.
I've never
these
seen you
69
this chill
dudes.
before.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, yeah, before I comment on that, Bob,
I'm a
how about
calm,
you?
reasonable person.
You're right.
I'm very, very reasonable.
Never
Everyone
get
says so.
heated.
You're
I'm
right.
probably the most even-keeled person.
Keep telling us about
Everyone
yourself.
says so.
I don't I have no idea where this is gonna be ranked, honestly. Like, this could be like in the 90s, this could be like 30. Like, I don't hating this. Like, if they're writing for horror sites, I'm sure they're probably fans of it. If it's for anything else, they're gonna see it as like a very trashy movie, which it is. So 69, dude, I don't know. What to do? I guess I'll take the over. I guess. I'll take a 75. I don't know.
75. All right. Well, one of you is just 2 percentage points away from absolute correctness. The correct answer was 77%. Bob's walking
Damn.
away with this one. 77%. That's certified fresh, gentlemen. And I have a theory about this. Like, as guys were talking about it, like I just think that maybe this franchise is filling what has become a gap in the horror style. You know what I mean? Like, once we kind of like, I think it's a course correction after the course correction of like torture porn going away, you know, and then we went into like spooky haunted houses and like almost PG-13 Blumhousey stuff for a long time, or like trauma-based stuff, like soul
Elevated
banking shit.
horror.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
in
sure.
my
Fucking
opinion,
sure.
when people say, "Oh," like the discussion that you guys had about, oh, it's somebody doing their own idea and they're doing. To me, it would be like, imagine if Human Centipede and Human Centipede 2 instead filled that role.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
I wouldn't want it to fill that role
Yeah.
I get it.
because yeah. So
I wouldn't either. I would be less excited.
yeah, exactly.
I think this is better than
so
that.
if listeners can stop and listen and imagine, like, I know I'm harsh on this, I know a lot of people like it, but it's kind of like that. It's like, I don't want to just, yeah, he's really getting it, because it's got the same feeling of like, I don't want it to be there. I don't think it deserves that spot.
I think it
That's just
benefits. What I'm
me.
saying though, but what I'm saying is, I think it's just benefiting from a vacuum
yeah.
that it fills, and I don't
But
think that
people give it
necessarily
a lot
speaks to
of
the quality of it.
I just feel like people give it
necessarily.
a lot because of that. Whereas, like, if it
Maybe.
were
Yeah.
Human Centipede 2, I don't think you give it that kind of slack.
Like,
I
cut
wouldn't,
it
because
slack.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
if Human Centipede 2 came out in a time where there was no kind of like gory horror movies, I think it would benefit from that. And I would similarly, it's like, I think that's a worse movie, so I would be feeling the way you are about this.
Yeah.
But like Terrifier 3, like the Terrifier franchise is not as bad as that, and it's filling a gap and benefiting
Really?
from that. And what?
As bad as Human Centipede?
I prefer it.
I
Terrifier to
definitely
Human
prefer the
Centipede.
Terrifier.
Yeah.
I guess it
franchise
depends
to
on what
Human
you're saying.
Centipede.
Mean as bad as like what the boundaries it's pushing, or actual quality?
I think, well, the
I took it as
boundaries.
what
No,
you're
I'm
saying,
not
the
talking about.
boundaries it was pushing.
No,
Oh,
no,
okay,
no, no,
okay,
no. I'm
okay.
talking about like it's like quality wise.
Okay,
I
okay.
think Terrifier franchise is generally better, a more enjoyable franchise for me.
Gotcha.
So I'm
okay,
okay
that
with
makes
it
sense.
succeeding and being like filling that role, and
Yeah.
and like sort of being like the doorman for maybe a few more gory horror movies to enter
Yeah.
the fray and become part of the popular lexicon. And that will inevitably go too far and have to course correct again. That's just kind of the nature of like art. Popular art acts and reacts on itself
Yeah.
constantly. So I think that's what's happening. That's my guess. That's my big pulpit stance. Going over to the poopometer, there are 2,500 plus verified ratings on the user score, the poopometer. Bob, why don't you kick us off? You took the last round. Where do you think the users are coming in on this one?
I do think the users are going to be definitely a bigger sample size, but folks, generally love this franchise, and it seems like, in particular, part 3 is getting quite a lot of love. So to go higher than I think that'd probably be the safer route. So I will take an 82.
82. All right. Soju, where are you coming in? Over, under?
Yeah, I think that logic sticks. And even though I don't agree, I want to win. So
wow, man of principle.
almost got a
right
spit
here.
take from bottom. Almost.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. But yeah, so I'll just take my boy. I'll just take the special numbers tonight. I'll stick with it.
Sorry, you cut out just in the moment we gave the score. What was it?
86, the boys.
The boys.
The boys. Okay.
The other boys.
Not the dudes, the boys.
Yeah,
The
the boys. We're
other boys.
taking the boys this time.
You know, clearly
boys,
everyone knows.
There's the dudes, the boys, and then there's ass to back of head.
Yeah, it's my favorite.
Those are the
sexual
comedy
message.
numbers. Yes. All right. So
maybe
one
we'll
of
get
you,
some more along the way.
one of you is just a single percentage point away from the
Damn.
correct guess. You guys are definitely in the right zone. The correct answer is 85%. Soju's going to split the pot here with Bob.
Oh! No sweeping skeet tonight,
Project
Bob.
85.
Oh yeah. All right. Oh,
Yeah.
hi.
It is
These
pretty
numbers are
high.
so high.
77, and I know
Yeah.
I'm sitting here looking at it, I'm like, oh my god. Oh my god. Like the users I understand because like users like this sort like what they like, and if something catches fire, it
Oh my
catches fire,
God.
especially edgy shit. But with a fucking critics, like where are the snobs on this fucking review? Like
Yeah,
some
they must
snob
just not
opinions.
be
Yeah,
reviewing
yeah,
it, I
130
guess.
though. I mean, that's a pretty standard
Yeah.
sample size that we
Yeah.
It
need.
is. It's not a small sample size. Like I'm looking at these
What
things,
are
I'm like,
people praising these movies for?
I don't know. I'm just I like it when horror does well. So like it doesn't bother me
For
that
sure.
much, but
The
you know.
Stranger. Oh,
Dude,
that's. I
I-
mean, they should have done better. You know,
That movie, man, is so fucking bad. The Strangers
Oh,
Chapter
really?
1. The
Is it?
Strangers Chapter.
Oh.
Don't get me excited, Juice.
well, let's find some snobs here.
Let's
We're
find
all
some
very
snobs,
calm.
please.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Do
find
it.
some snobs here in the critic review section. Read a couple of negative synopses and see where we net out here. Here's one from the Daily Mail UK. The spillage of blood and guts is horrible throughout, but Terrifier fans will doubtless, if only figuratively, lap it up. What?
That's a real knee slapper.
I
That's
feel
fucking
that.
dumb as shit.
I
Like,
don't
that's so
think
denigrating.
so. I kind of feel that, man. Like, okay, the first statement I made about this movie, it really made me feel like that guy was like, I'm gonna take this same song that people have listened to for years, and I'm gonna put the word Christmas in it, and they're gonna all over again. And that's how I feel about this movie. I feel
I'm
like
specifically
we've seen
talking
it.
about. Sorry.
I know, but I feel like it's just like, yeah, give it to me. Give me more art. Give me, oh yeah, I feel that a little bit, honestly.
I mean, yeah, there's some truth to it, but like that, yeah, the fans are going to like it, but of course they are. Like I don't like I don't know like why that's like such an important thing to point out that it's got terrible gore, but some people like that is all like that's basically what he's saying, but he's saying it in like a very condescending way. I don't know. Don't go after the fucking fans, man. Let them do their thing. And they lap it up like treating them like fucking dirt
Like
because
dogs.
they like what they like and he doesn't like it.
Dumb
eat my
fucking
shit.
dogs just lapping this bullshit up. Yeah, like yeah, go fuck yourself.
I don't think that it's like so callous as what you're describing, Juice, like a knowingly callous. I think that Damien Leone is genuinely trying to make something that he would enjoy. I don't think that like this is just him like trying to make a quick buck. This doesn't feel money grabby to me, and I think that that's kind of dismissive as well. But like
it doesn't
yeah,
feel money grabbing. What it's now starting to feel like, where you're saying, oh, it feels like he's trying to make a movie that he would enjoy. It feels like ego grubbing. Get that reputation of I've pushed it this far. My movies do it more than anybody does it, and it seems like that's becoming more the sole purpose. So it feels like ego grubbing to me. And I don't think he's pushing it for money, but it's like the reputation of like I'm so bro.
I think it's just the shit that he likes on it. Like I don't know that he's
I think so too. Like I don't have the sense that he's doing it through some craven like PR stunt. Like
he was a visual arts, like he did practical effects. That was his focus, and like so obviously he's gonna put as much of that in his movie as he can. It's just what he does and what he likes.
But it's not about the visual effects though. It's about how crazy I'm gonna. I don't know.
We talked about it.
Okay,
We covered it.
let's read. Let's close this thing out with one more.
And there's no
review.
practical effects that go into the fact that somebody's masturbating with a piece of broken glass. That has nothing to do with practical effects.
No,
I mean,
that's
that
an
blood,
extreme.
that
They do it
blood
off
was
camera.
faked up.
But you know what? So those aspects,
But-
those decisions have nothing to do with the fact
But
that he
that's
was
not
a
a
visual artist.
That's not a
Yes.
showcase for visual artistry. That scene.
Well, that's
Right,
kind of
right,
my
right,
point.
right,
Is
right.
that
No,
yeah,
I'm
it's
agreeing
not,
with
yeah.
you on that.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right. Read the thing, right? Read
Here's
that.
the thing. Here's one more. This one's from a website called 48 Hills. I don't know anything about it. It's not that just that the script matters so little. It's that nothing does. Plot, character, sense at all are just factors that can be arbitrarily sacrificed to allow for another viscera clogged bloodbath. And here's the thing: is like I could see that review on just about any slasher sequel you can bring up. Like that seems like a bog standard critical blurb towards any slasher. You know what I mean? Like just about. I don't know. I think
the
there's some
subgenre
exceptions.
as a
but-
whole. Yeah.
So like to that end, like if that's what you're going for, then like I gotta give some credit to that. Like if what you're going for is to make a slasher franchise that lives and dies by the same rules but with a little bit different flavor as all your favorites that you grew up on, then you know it is what it is. Like he's not reinventing the wheel. That's the thing is like while this movie might open the door for other movies, it's not a unique movie and unique franchise in its own right. It is just existing in a vacuum and opening doors that way, I think. So I don't know. To me, it kind of it's a boon for horror, but it's also just because it's opening those doors and it's taking off and it's doing those things doesn't necessarily mean that it's like high art and it never needed to be in order to succeed. Like the same way the Scream reopened the door to slashers, although that is just a better fucking franchise in general and better movie, the first one, because it actually, you know, had something at the core of it from the beginning.
Yeah.
Which was self-referential. Anyway, we're gonna keep reviewing forever and ever on this. It's actually a really interesting franchise to talk about. I've realized.
Yeah, we are going
As much as I don't love it.
little long. Let's go ahead and get into some trivia.
All right.
It's totally time for trivia.
All right, boys. Yeah, I got a little bit of trivia here. This is a new movie, so like, you know, the trivia was a little light. But legendary makeup artist John Caglione Jr., most famous for working on The Dark Knight with the Joker makeup, told Damien Leone he was a fan of Terrifier 1 and 2 and offered to work on the film, which he quickly accepted. So I guess he was part of the effects crew on this.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah. When making Terrifier 1 and 2, Damien Leone has stated in interviews that the crew consisted of only 5 to 10 people, depending on the day, with crew members working every possible position. However, for Terrifier 3, he had the budget enough to have like dozens of people on set every day with actual dedicated crews and departments. So like he had, like actually making a movie like the normal way, you know?
Yeah, it's crazy. It doesn't seem like it improved it at all. That's what's weird.
I think it probably looks better than than the previous two. So in that way, I think
Maybe, but it's marginal in my opinion.
This next bit also is somewhat illuminating. And in another interview, Leone stated it took 6 years to make Terrifier 2, as he and his producer Phil Falcone probably, were doing every job on the production and underestimated how ambitious it would become. However, with Terrifier 3, Leone faced a new challenge of writing and completing production within a single year to meet the release date. The production barely made it on time for its September premiere at Fantastic Fest. And I did listen to an interview with him on a podcast talking about how like he was still editing the movie like the night before.
Damn.
What?
It was like down to the wire. So I guess very, very, so that might explain why maybe the script feels a little loose, the lore feels kind of half baked, like it was kind of rushed due to
that runtime and a half, brother.
Cut it. Definitely could be leaner on the runtime.
Yeah,
Yeah. Also, speaking of that,
Yes.
my next point, distributor Cineverse had only one request, and that was to make the film under 2 hours. again recalled ripping out pages while filming to make the movie shorter, realizing it would be way the fuck too long and not have enough time to film the scenes. The ending was much longer and was cut down despite trying his best to meet the request. Damian Leone submitted his final edit, which again is 2 hours and 5 minutes long. There you go.
All right. Well,
There's not one thing that could have been cut from that film. It's all so.
it's all essential. It's essential that we see him wash a plate.
Yes.
I like that. Outgrossed
I kinda did
Terrifier
too, I'll be
2. This movie outgrossed Terrifier 2 within its first weekend of release. $2 million budget, grossed $89 million, making it the highest gross unrated film of all time. And like I said, it's getting a re-release, so it's going to make even more money in the theaters here. So we'll see what it hits on Christmas week. This is the second film domestic box office in the 21st century. The other one was, I guess I've never heard of this movie. It's called Renaissance, a film by Beyonce. It came out in 2023. Never heard of it.
Oh, is that a concert film? Probably.
Maybe it is.
Yeah.
Maybe it is. I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah, it's an
that is
album too.
about-
So we are
must-
very not knowledgeable about outside of the horror realm.
Whoops. That's I think everything else I mentioned during our conversation. So that's going to do it for the trivia on Terrifier 3. That takes us right into our cooter of the week.
Straight chillin'. Gooder of the week.
Juice, what is a cooter and why do we hunt them?
Oh, Cooter's a character type.
Damn.
And a straight
I
shot.
thought you were gonna do that
Exclusive.
musical style. Oh, Cooter is.
Cooter is a character type
Boop-bop-bop-bo.
and a straight chillin' exclusive. Character has to hit 3 of these 5 points to be considered a cooter, but we want the cooter with the most points. The 5 points of cooterdom are sexual deviancy, manipulation, smug arrogance, overall looking attire, and overall patheticness. Boys, how many times we gonna play this game?
Right? How many cooters are in this fucking movie? Like,
Oh my lord.
at least 2, probably. I mean,
Let's go through the old song and dance.
I think we already
The clown,
decided
yeah.
Art was
He
a
just
cooter.
probably hits all 5.
Yeah,
Art's the same old cooter he ever was. He was cooter of the
Yeah.
cooter of the week. Those for the first 2 movies. I'm pretty sure.
Let's do Victoria. Right.
Looking
What problem?
attire.
She's hot.
Sexual
Yeah.
deviancy. The masturbating. The masturbating is gonna
Don't
put her over on that.
masturbate is what Randy,
Yeah,
the
I'm-
message Randy is saying. Every
The
time you
ha-
masturbate,
God
you
didn't
kill an
give you
angel.
hands for baiting. He gave them to you for raising sheds and such.
Raising sheds.
Not barns, but sheds. You build a
Sheds.
fucking shed.
Oh,
Barns
my
barns are
lord.
for the devil. We know this.
Patheticness.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand like what her character's deal is because
Yeah,
like
they
just kinda turned her on a dime.
demon. Yeah. Oh,
she
really?
went from being like a hero to a insane person in an insane asylum to being a straight up demon person, and like none of that felt earned to me. It just kind of were things we were told were true.
Got another John Kramer on our hands, or he just turns them that quick.
Yeah, he taught her, a lesson.
their cockadoodie lives, but not you, Mr. Man.
Not anymore.
Yeah. Oh man.
I don't know. Yeah, this is kind of hard.
Can we just-
honestly?
I thought I had one more idea for a regular person that might be a cooter in this film that we could discuss, and it was the
podcast.
girl?
Mia,
podcast.
the
Yeah,
podcast.
podcast girl.
The podcast.
Yeah.
Just call her.
It was the
podcast.
podcast. So manipulation, I would say, yeah. It seems like she's sleeping with
Yes.
that roommate just to
Get to Jonathan. Yeah, I agree.
which is also sexual deviancy, right?
I guess.
Well,
I mean,
I mean, she-
seems. But I mean, they're
That
fucking in
seems
the
pretty
shower.
self-possessed, honestly.
Yeah, that
Like,
seems
I don't
all
know.
right. They seem down with it.
Using
so.
your sexual wiles
Well,
to get
okay.
what you want is a time-honored tradition. So
Oh, don't I know it?
Ain't it the
I
truth?
know you do.
It's how we got here, boys.
That's how we got all the success that we have, boys. Let me get all the sacrifices
Check out
I
the
made.
straight chilling
Oh,
only fans.
and
Do
the
you know what
sack.
these filthy hands have done?
Done a lot of things
And
for
to
you
what
boys.
holes?
God damn.
But I liked
Yes,
most
that's
of
what
it.
a boy likes.
98%.
The other 2% we don't talk.
That's for therapy.
It's a special tier on Patreon. If you want to hear about that
The
other
therapy
2%,
tier?
the 2% tier.
The
therapy
2%.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
patheticness, her whole like, I want to look into his eyes, and then she gets to look into his eyes. I
yeah,
mean,
she does.
Well, I think it's pretty pathetic to put so much effort into a podcast. I mean, Jesus Christ. get a
agreed.
life.
Yeah, I mean
I'm
manipulation.
now announcing my retirement.
Yeah.
I'd take some time off.
Manipulation and smug arrogance for sure. I don't know that sexual deviance or patheticness. Maybe a dash of pathetic. I don't know. She might be a Cooter Light.
Cooter Light.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, are the
Smug
clown
arrogance,
wedding.
because like the way she phrased when she was talking about Sienna, and she's like, I mean, I was kind of helping her because
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
fuck that bitch.
It's like equivocating horse shit. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think she
Hateable.
hits pretty close. Or yeah. She's kind of she's kind of the character you like to see die, though. You know,
Oh yeah,
like
she's definitely, which
maybe
is
not as
like,
brutally as
that's a
she
ghost
gets.
point.
Yeah. As she gets taken out, but I mean, I think she's swimming in that realm.
She's about the only character that you're like.
I'll tell you what though, man, it kind of creeped me out when they cut to them like doing it in the show. And I know we didn't see like any explicit, like it was explicit, but they didn't show like nipple or whatever. But like even what we saw was like, oh my God, because I assumed just facially that girl was like 16 years old. She does not look like an adult.
Well, they're in college.
Yeah, they're in
I know
college.
that the characters are in college. I mean, the actress does not look like an adult to me.
Oh, really?
So I was like, yeah, she looked like
didn't-
she looked like a mid-teenager to me. And then I was like, oh my God, am I on a list? What's happening?
Didn't stick out to me.
I didn't. I mean, she
Okay,
looks.
it was me. I was like, just get
20
this looks like a
or
child
you
to
know.
me. Okay, yeah, no, I didn't get that. Maybe I'm just old, an old man now.
Word.
Yeah, that's very, very possible. Although
I
you
think
can't confirm that.
Shouldn't you be at home practicing your long division, child? What are you doing fucking in the shower?
Long division at 16.
Focus on your studies.
That's a dumb child.
The job market sucks.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think we got it.
Your long
The cooter of the week. I think we
Let's
got
put
it.
Art away, man.
I think we got him.
I think it's a permanent cooter situation.
Forever.
Perma-cooter, Art the Clown. Yeah. We got him.
Unless
All
we
right,
find out
boys.
some tragic backstory that it changes everything.
Oh my God.
And now he's the hero.
Yep.
He's feeding the poor.
He's feeding them
I
entrails,
would
but he's feeding them.
laugh my fucking ass off if they did a turn in like Terrifier 5 where he's like, no, he was
Terrifier X.
Art was wronged. Let's talk about what we've been watching this week, boys.
Hey gang, what you been watching?
Randeezy, what you been watching?
So I've been wanting to catch up on a lot of movies that I didn't get to see yet from this year, but Christmas movies have been taking over. So the one movie I did get to sort of catch up on was Smile 2, which I think was an improvement on Smile 1. I rewatched Smile the original and I liked it better the second time, and I like Smile 2 just a little bit better than that. Still not like my favorite thing in the world or whatever, but I was pleasantly surprised. I think it improved. And I don't know, I liked the lead character and shit, and I still like the creature effects. I've come around to the first one, and I liked it in the second one as well. So there's that. And then everything else is going to be Christmas adjacent. Home Alone, rewatch that. Classic. Home Alone 2, classic, minus the one guest star who can eat my shit. Then we have Christmas Evil, rewatched that. Watched Arnold's Christmas, the Hey Arnold Christmas episode, which is genuinely a tearjerker of a children's show.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I watched Rocco's Modern Christmas, which is a Rocco's Modern Life Christmas special, which is just endearing and nostalgic for me. Doesn't hold up quite as well as Hey Arnold. And then the last thing I'll bring up, besides a few games, Balatro, Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom, still in the mix. Very slowly working through that second one. The Happiest Season is the last film I'll mention, which is it was sold to me as like a rom-com in the vein of a Hallmark movie, and then we put it on, it's like Kristen Stewart, Dan Levy, and Allison Brie and shit. I'm like, oh my god, this is like a stacked
Nice.
cast. And it like story-wise kind of was that, but it's sort of like a queer-focused one where Kristen Stewart goes home with her girlfriend for the holidays, but turns out her girlfriend never told her family that she was gay, much less that they were dating, and madcap stuff ensues. It's all right. It's all right for what it is. It's not generally my style of film, but it had its moments. Dan Levy is very, very fun to watch in that. I'll like, and he's not in enough of it, in my opinion. Yeah, I think I'm gonna just kind of cut it there, though. There's aside from a few clips and like Max Fleischer cartoons in the background and stuff. That was about it.
Solid lineup, dog. Juice, what you been
Mhm.
watching?
Oh, some Simpsons Christmas episodes, Elf, just It's a Wonderful Life, just some classic Christmas stuff. Watch the Great British Bake Off newest Christmas season because that's like a thing when I come to my parents now. I just watch the British Bake Off
The
and
Great Bitch Bake Off.
The Great
Bake.
Bish Bake Off.
The Great Bitch Bake Off.
Also, too,
Your favorite
I think
bitches from reality TV compete.
Dang. I would watch that. I also, when I come to stay at my parents' house during the Christmas season, I always watch that like Get Blown show about the glass, where they do the glass on Netflix. They had a new season of that, so I watched that. Watched just a lot of like competitive shows. I've been watching on Netflix Culinary Wars, which is a Korean competitive cooking show, which is quite entertaining.
It's
And
called Competitive Wars.
no, Culinary Class Wars.
Culinary Class Wars. Okay, I misheard you. I was like, Competitive Wars seems weirdly redundant and not related to food at all.
No. And then also too, I started it at the beginning of the year and then got so busy that just pretty much abandoned it all. But I'm trying to maybe finish all the Studio Ghibli films by the end of this year. So I also started watching The Boy and the Heron, which came out just last year, but it's on Max now. And after that, I've got like 2 more, so I think I can do it. I got a few weeks, so maybe I will finish that journey here in 2024. But that's all I've been watching, I think. Bob,
Oh, hey.
what you been watching?
Some Christmas shit, tis the season.
What?
But like kind of some, I guess I should say maybe just like winter shit, really. We rewatched The Thing. It is still good, in case you were wondering.
What?
Hold on.
The Thing?
The Thing. The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing.
The Thing, the Thing.
It's fucking great. We also put on Catch Me If You Can. This movie, there's like because it takes place across like, I don't know, a decade or like a very long time. And every like year that goes by, they like really hit on Christmas.
Yeah.
So it is like, maybe not about Christmas, but there's a lot of like major moments that take place on Christmas.
It's not as Christmassy as, say, Prometheus, you're saying.
Right, not quite as Christmassy as that. But that movie is a fucking classic. I love that movie so much. Definitely check out Catch Me If You Can if you've never seen it. Also, I put on Carnage for Christmas, which just hit Shudder, and to be fair, I have not finished it yet. I believe it's Australian. Not loving it. It is really rough around the edges.
Christmas dies tonight.
There you go. That's fucking. It's a skipper for me, dog. I wouldn't recommend it. There's a killer Santa Claus. Killer Santa Claus. It's okay. Skipper. Joe Bob was
skipper.
this past Friday, and he did a double feature. He showed Rare Exports was the first film, which I was able to stay up for and was a good time. Pretty solid movie, worth checking out. The second feature was it's a silent knife and or it's a wonderful
It's a
knife,
Wonderful
rather.
Knife?
Wonderful knife,
Okay.
yeah.
That's the time bendy one, right?
That's the one from
Yes.
last year
Yeah.
Yeah, last year or the year before?
with Justin Long.
With Justin Long.
Yeah,
Yeah, where he's like the fucked up mayor or whatever.
And the teeth.
Yeah,
Oh,
didn't
right.
rewatch that one.
Yeah.
I'll probably go back and just watch the Joe Bob parts. I did like he was like introducing the movie, and I did watch that portion. And it's, you know, he does like a 4 out of 4-star rating whenever he rates movies. He gave it a 2 out of 4, which is like very rare for the Joe
I've seen him
Bob.
give
Wait,
reviews,
very
yeah.
2 out of 4 is rare?
Yeah,
For
it's
him- for
rare
him it
that
is.
he goes that low. Yeah.
Oh, that low.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I bet
okay.
he still told you to check it out, didn't he?
He always does, you know. Joe
Mhm.
Bob says check it out. Always does.
That's what he says.
So yeah, that's about what I've been watching. Mostly Christmas shit, you know. 'Tis the season.
Tis the season.
We do have 2 voicemails. So let's go ahead and get into our hotline screams.
Hotline scream.
If you guys are listening, would like to call and leave a voicemail to be featured on next week's show, hit us up at 904-638-3231. First up, we're hearing from Pappy. Let's hear what he's got to say.
Hey, Straight Sean, this is your boy Pappy. Haven't called in a while, but I wanted to give best worst horror I saw in 2024. Let's go with best. Number 3, Afraid, the Blumhouse AI horror movie. It is so bad and so stupid that it's good. I was laughing at it the whole time. This is the horror version of The Room. We actually need midnight screenings for this one, where you call it, Are You Afraid of How Fucking Terrible This Movie Is? Number 2, Alien Romulus. Whether you think it's a good entry in the Alien universe is debatable, but it's a solid sci-fi horror film. And number 1, best movie of the year, horror, easily The Substance. It's an amazing film, the love child of David Cronenberg, Gaspar Noé, and Darren Aronofsky. Worst. Number 3 is a tie between Terrifier 3 and Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2. Good practical effects do not make for a good movie. Both of these teams should be doing practical effects for good horror filmmakers. Imagine having a Mike Flanagan movie with Damien Leone practical effects. That's what we need, not this drivel. Number 2, Imaginary. This is bottom of the barrel Blumhouse PG-13 horror, not scary and lame. It's so bad that it's bad. Number 1, the worst horror movie I saw in 2024, The Strangers Chapter 1. Complete waste of time reboot of The Strangers. Direction, script, and acting all suck. It is atrocious that we are supposedly getting 2 more of these movies. So there you go. Gave you my 3 best horror, 3 worst horror. Keep up the good work, straight chillin'. Pappy out.
God damn, Pappy brought the heat. Is he
I
my
agree
inner
with
monologue?
a lot of that.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I agree with most of that, yeah.
Yeah.
I have not seen the AI Afraid movie or Imaginary.
I haven't either. When he said when he said Imaginary, he said Blumhouse. The other one popped into my mind. What's the good one?
Yeah, there were Imagine.
Yeah, the good
If-
one.
Not the movie, the
Oh.
studio.
Oh, A24?
A24
Oh,
popped into my
A24,
mind,
okay.
yeah.
No,
I had
like
to correct
that.
myself.
Afraid is like become kind of notorious. It's I don't know if it's quite reaching Morbin time levels, but people are really slamming on that one hard. I'm
kind of want to
curious
watch
now.
it now. I think it's on Netflix.
R.I.P.
I think-
Sony Spider-Man universe.
Oh my
It's
God!
even
Just when it
Morbin
was
time.
getting good, right, everyone?
It's just at its peak. They pull the
Oh, man.
plug.
It's just a shame, but yeah, good stuff.
Hate to see it. Hate to see it.
Dude, Mike Flanagan film with Damien. That's a really good call. I don't know about I don't know if that blends all that well, but like Damien Leone working for other filmmakers is a fabulous call. I would love to see some of that happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Romulus, it's a Substance, pretty good. The Strangers, fucking chapter 1 is egregious.
Oh my
I think
God.
that's a
Fucking chapter 1.
that's a fair call right there.
That was a
Holy
good
shit.
call.
Terrifier 3 being one of the worst films of the year. I don't know that I'd go that low, but opinions.
Check my list.
We'll see.
We're making our
We'll
list,
see
checking
when we
them
get
twice.
there. We'll see when we get there.
Yeah. We'll be doing our wrap up best of the year like mid-January, a little bit later than normal. I don't think we've said that yet on the show.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, to make sure that we can get Nosferatu in before we
that's
do
right.
it.
I did know.
So yeah, just a little bit later than we normally do. Thanks for calling, Pappy. Yeah, bring in the thoughts and yeah, solid list, man.
Bring us
Definitely
more
good
thoughts.
to hear from you. Bring all of your thoughts to Straight Chilling.
I want your thoughts.
We want them. Call in and give us your thoughts. Next up, we're gonna hear from
What up, gentlemen? It's your boy JT. I'm a little behind on this, but I wanted to weigh in on my actor that I want to absolutely just punch in the face every time I see him, and I really want to see if anybody else shares this sentiment. Fucking Finn Wolfhard, dude. I don't know what it is. Ever since he showed up in Stranger Things, every time I see him, and no matter what he's in, I just there's something about his face, and I hope I'm not alone in this. But yeah, that's it. I just wanted to throw my thoughts in on that. Y'all keep chilling and have a great week.
I
Finn
could totally see
Wolfhard.
that.
Yeah, I don't really feel that way, but I get it.
Yeah, I don't.
I'll be honest.
but
Like
yeah,
his
I
name
get it.
floated in my skull when this question was asked. The thing about it though is like, I think it's just like mostly an optical thing. Like I just think he has a punchable face in the sense that like he looks like he looks like
a dweeb,
you know what I mean?
Smarmy.
Like, yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, he looks kind of smug or whatever, and like I don't want to necessarily sign up to punch a kid in the face for looking smug when.
Well, he's
I
like
actually
20
know-
now. Yeah, he's
So
not.
he's
like
fair
what
game.
I know what I'm saying though. Like what I'm trying to
Get
get to is
him.
that like I know a little bit about him. Like he's
That's what you get
like
for growing up.
You get your ass.
This is what the real world is.
Three
little
grown
shit.
men.
This is what
Yeah,
you get
with a
for being born with that
podcast.
face.
You fucking
No,
loser.
I don't know. Like I just like I know enough about him. Like he's like I like his style like of music. I like that he's a musician. He seems like a pretty authentic dude outside of just being in too many things and kind of hitting a smarmy button in my skull. So I don't know.
Yeah,
Like,
he
I
plays
get
like
it.
smarmy character. He might not be smarmy, but he plays smarmy ass characters for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I generally like don't mind him and stuff. He just happens to be in shit that like I don't necessarily want to
That's
watch
part of it too.
shit
Yeah.
because of him, though. You know. Yeah,
But he's
I
in
see it.
he's in so many pup music videos. I can't hate the man.
That is pretty. Yeah, that's a feather in his cap. That's pretty cool. Maybe I just love him now.
Yeah.
Oh God.
The
Oh
afterglow of
God,
Pup is very strong.
God.
it is.
Look up Pup the band, everyone. You won't be
Yeah.
disappointed.
You won't want to punch
Poop, I
them
think
in
it's
their
pronounced
face.
Poop the band.
It's got the umlaut over
Yeah.
the poop the
Poop.
band.
Poop the band is a
We should
very
start
different
that band.
Let's do it, Bob.
We are poop the band.
we gotta
Bob's
resurrect
75
Gigi
now.
Allen and we can get going.
The zombie of GG.
It's the super group of the zombie of Gigi Allen, fucking the guy lead singer from Guar and the Emotron.
Damn, what a group.
The fucking
And then me and
Emotron.
Bob.
Google
And
the
Bob.
Emotron if you want to see some weird shit.
And then Michael Bublé.
Mikhail Bublé.
Kind of balance it out.
The
Yeah,
Bublé
thanks for calling JT about some punchable ass faces. Again, if you guys want to call in, leave a voicemail for next week, hit us up at 904-638-3231. I'd like to hear about some more, best of, worst of the year lists. If you guys got them, call in, let us know. You guys have any other prompts you want to throw out there for next week?
Come sit on old Santa Stain's lap and tell me what you want for Christmas this year.
Leave some stains on my lap.
Jesus.
Or you could also tell a funny story of like maybe one of the worst presents you ever got.
That'd be good. Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
Funny
Yeah,
Christmas story. Yeah.
Yeah, any funny Christmas. Yeah, if you got an uncomfortable gift, tell us that story too.
Yeah,
I
like a
that.
giant dildo.
Did you open a butt plug in front of your parents or something like
Oh my God, how did you
I
know?
love this paperweight.
Oh, this is the doorstop I've been wanting.
This is the wine stop I've been looking for.
It's fucking huge.
Wine
I get the extra large bottles of wine.
I buy them from
It's-
Kirkland Signature, you know.
I
You
get
know how it
the
goes.
2-liter
Costco
bottles
wine,
of
you
wine.
know?
The Costco wine, you know. It doesn't
It's
come
$8
small.
for a gallon. I mean, what? What a deal! Practically giving it away.
Fucking water cooler size bottle of wine.
I swear it's not for my ass. Stop looking at me. God.
Although it's flattering, you think it could fit.
Yeah, hit us up 904-638-3231. We'll be back next week with a brand new show. As always, talking about another new release. We're finally going to be chatting.
Yeah.
Potentially the best movie of the year, according to your boy Pappy.
Pappy's favorite movie of the year. The Librarian's only movie that she saw all year.
I know. Librarian has watched it 69 times in theaters.
Mm-hmm.
It is streaming everywhere. I don't think it's in theaters at this point anymore. It's getting a physical release in January, so it's not on disc yet.
If the
you can
Blu-ray
stream it.
case is not goopy, then I don't want it. It's got to be dripping with
Just soaking
viscera.
wet. Yeah,
Yep,
just
that's what I want.
raunchy.
Mm-hmm.
Check out The Substance. Get ready for next week's show. Hit us up on all the social medias. Just search Straight Chilling. We'll pop right up. If you want to join our daily Slack channel conversations, hit us up on social media. Let us know, and I'll send you a link so you can join in on the fun. We're talking about the movie of the week. We talk about TV shows, video games, what we're doing for the holidays. Trade pictures of our cute pets. It's very fun and wholesome, and it's a great group of folks. So join. That's gonna do it for us here at Straight Chilling. Until next week, as always, all you mother truckers, please keep chilling.
Get out of here, you nosy little pervert, or I'm gonna slap you silly.
Uncle Frank is a piece of shit.
God, every time I watch those movies, it's somehow more.
Randy, you
apparent
might
that
want to
he is a
stop the
piece of
recording first.
shit. Sure, that's a good call.